What if the most powerful forces shaping your thoughts, emotions, and decisions were speaking to you every day without using words? What if your dreams, your fears, your obsessions, and even your life patterns were not random, but symbolic messages waiting to be understood? Carl Jung believed that symbols are not decorations of the mind. They are its deepest language. And until you learn to read that language, you remain a stranger to yourself. This video is not about abstract psychology. It's about how symbols quietly govern your inner life and how becoming conscious of them can change the way you live. According to Carl Jung, symbols are the bridge between the conscious mind and the unconscious soul. Who was Carl Jung, and why symbols mattered to him? Carl Jung was not interested in psychology as a system of labels. He wasn't trying to reduce the human being to diagnoses or behaviors. He was searching for meaning. Early in his work, Jung realized something that most modern psychology still struggles to accept. Human beings do not experience life directly. We experience life symbolically. Long before we explain reality with logic, we feel it through images. Long before we understand ourselves rationally, we express ourselves symbolically. For Carl Jung, symbols were not inventions of culture alone. They were expressions of something far older, the collective unconscious, a deep psychological layer shared by all humans across time and civilizations. What Carl Jung meant by symbol. In everyday language, people confuse symbols with signs. For Carl Jung, the difference was crucial. A sign points to something already known. A symbol, on the other hand, points to something not yet fully understood. A symbol carries more meaning than the conscious mind can immediately grasp. That's why symbols feel powerful, mysterious, sometimes unsettling. A cross is not just a religious sign. A snake is not just an animal. A circle is not just a shape. They evoke emotions, instincts, memories, and inner reactions that logic alone cannot explain. According to Carl Jung, a symbol is alive. Once it loses its emotional charge, it stops being a symbol and becomes a dead concept. Why the unconscious speaks in symbols. The unconscious does not think in sentences. It does not argue. It does not explain. It shows. It communicates through images, metaphors, patterns, and stories. Dreams are the clearest example. When the unconscious wants to warn you, it doesn't say, "You are ignoring an important emotional conflict." It shows you a collapsing building, a dark forest, a broken bridge. Symbols bypass rational defenses. They reach places logic cannot. This is why Jung believed that ignoring symbols means ignoring the unconscious itself. And what is ignored does not disappear. It acts in the background. Archetypes, the source of universal symbols. Carl Jung noticed that people from completely different cultures dreamed of similar images: heroes, shadows, wise old figures, mothers, tricksters, floods, labyrinths. These patterns appeared again and again, not because of cultural imitation, but because they arise from shared psychic structures. Jung called these structures archetypes. Archetypes are not images themselves. They are tendencies to create certain images. The hero archetype, for example, produces symbols of struggle, trials, monsters, and transformation. The shadow produces symbols of darkness, monsters, doubles, and forbidden impulses. When archetypes surface in symbols, they carry enormous emotional energy because they represent deep psychological forces. The shadow and its symbols. One of Carl Jung's most important ideas was the shadow. The shadow contains everything we reject, repress, or deny about ourselves. It doesn't disappear. It waits. The shadow speaks almost exclusively through symbols. In dreams, it may appear as a dark figure, a threatening animal, a stranger following you, a distorted version of yourself. In life, it appears through projections. When someone triggers an irrational emotional reaction in you, a symbol is active even if you don't see it consciously. Carl Jung believed that facing the shadow is impossible without symbolic awareness, because the shadow never introduces itself logically. Dreams, the royal road to symbols. For Jung, dreams were not random brain activity. They were meaningful symbolic narratives. Every object in a dream is symbolic, not in a universal dictionary sense, but in relation to the dreamer's psyche. A house may symbolize the self. Different floors may represent layers of consciousness. Locked rooms often point to repressed aspects of the psyche. Carl Jung warned against rigid dream interpretation. Symbols are not formulas. They are living expressions. The same symbol can mean different things depending on the individual's life situation. What matters is not, what does this symbol mean? But what is this symbol trying to compensate, reveal, or balance? Religion, myth, and the loss of symbolic life. Jung believed modern humans suffer from a symbolic crisis. Ancient cultures lived surrounded by symbols, myths, rituals, sacred images. These systems provided psychological orientation. Modern society replaced symbols with explanations, ritual with routine, myth with information. The result? A loss of meaning and a rise in anxiety, depression, and existential emptiness. Carl Jung famously said that many psychological problems are not medical, but spiritual in origin, not religious, symbolic. When symbols disappear, the psyche loses its language. Individuation, becoming whole through symbols. Carl Jung's central idea was individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated self. Individuation is not self-improvement. It is self-integration, and symbols are its primary guides. Throughout individuation, certain symbols tend to appear. Circles and mandalas, wholeness. Paths and journeys, development. Death and rebirth, psychological transformation. Light, emerging from darkness, consciousness expanding. These symbols are not goals. They are signals. They indicate psychological movement. Ignoring them stalls development. Engaging with them accelerates growth. Mandalas, symbols of the self. Carl Jung was fascinated by mandalas, circular symbolic patterns found in many cultures. He noticed that patients spontaneously drew mandala-like images during periods of inner chaos. According to Carl Jung, mandalas represent the self, the organizing center of the psyche. When the psyche is fragmented, mandalas appear as compensation. They symbolize order emerging from disorder, not because the mind chooses them, but because the psyche needs them. This is why symbolic art can be deeply therapeutic without being consciously understood. Why symbols still control you, even if you ignore them. You don't escape symbols by rejecting them. You just become unconscious of them. Brands use symbols. Politics uses symbols. Social media thrives on symbolic identity. When symbols are not consciously integrated, they are unconsciously obeyed. Carl Jung warned that unconscious symbols turn into mass movements. What is not understood inwardly is acted out collectively. History, for Carl Jung, was psychology projected onto the world. Learning to read your own symbols. Jung never told people what to believe. He encouraged them to observe, pay attention to, repeating images in dreams, emotional reactions that feel disproportionate, obsessions and fascinations, stories that deeply resonate with you. These are symbolic signals. The question is not, is this rational? The question is, why does this move something in me? Symbols reveal what the conscious ego avoids. Final thought: symbols are the language of the soul. According to Carl Jung, the soul does not speak in words. It speaks in symbols. And when you learn to listen, life stops feeling random. Patterns emerge. Meaning deepens. The inner world becomes navigable. You don't control symbols. You dialogue with them. And in that dialogue, you slowly become whole.